Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stewart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And during this segment of the show, I am very pleased to announce that we finally have, she's a very, very busy lady, but we finally now have family law attorney Rawan Hmoud, partner at the Snyder Sarno, Maceri da Costa, and she's calling in all the way from Roseland, New Jersey. Now, Rawan, who is considered to be somewhat of a leader in the area of family law, will be talking to you today about the importance of discovery and financial disclosure. Now, that sounds like a very interesting topic. So if you are one of the increasing number of people considering your options for divorce in the Roseland, New Jersey area, you might want to just take a break and listen in to what Rawan has to share with you today. So with that said, let's not keep her waiting any longer. Welcome to the show, Rawan.
Hi, Stewart. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. We're very pleased to have you on. So we've got about 20 minutes or so with each other. So let's just jump feet first in then, Rawan. Briefly, in your own words, describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help.
Well, Stewart, myself as a dedicated matrimonial attorney and my firm find ourselves servicing professionals and those who are either contemplating or in the middle of a divorce matter that involves high-end or complex issues. Many of our clients and the cases we deal with, due to our focus on the complex litigation aspect of the divorce cases, involve business valuations, valuing of interest in various types of partnerships, and either a spouse or their other spouse that may have a complex compensation structure. We also deal with family law cases pretty much in every area of them, including issues that might arise subsequent to a divorce and what's known as post-judgment litigation. Our firm also has been heavily involved in attempting to shape the course of the law here in the state of New Jersey by engaging in appellate review of decisions of the lower courts and helping in providing some relief to litigants who believe the wrong decision was made.
Excellent. So now that we've set the tone and we know who you help, moving forward from this point on, it's very important to let the listeners know that anything you share with us from this point on is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of disseminating information. Can we both agree on that, Rawan?
Yes, of course. Information is key for people to at least figure out the correct path to pursue.
So with that in mind, when you think about those people who you help, those people who you've just described, who your company works with, your law firm, what's the most common misconception they have surrounding the topic of financial discovery and financial disclosure?
The biggest misconception, and frankly it is gender neutral, is that the discovery and financial disclosure are just not necessary or a waste of time and funds. That misconception really is voiced through our male clients and female clients equally.
Based on what you just shared with us then, Rawan, and obviously keeping your clients' confidentiality in mind, Please share an example or a case study, so to speak, of how you've helped someone, or even how you would go about helping somebody who comes to you with that challenge that you described, that misconception, and what kind of transformational results you were able to or would be able to gain for them.
Well, Stewart, one of the largest and most concerning issue surrounding this misconception that I've seen firsthand are clients who go on to mediate their divorce case without having their own separate independent attorneys present. And our firm here has a huge mediation group, and we promote and hope that everyone can amicably resolve the issues in their divorce. However, what's occurring is that an agreement may be reached without the proper disclosure, discovery, even if it's a small amount of discovery, and an agreement's reached. Those clients then, after this agreement has already been reached, come to us and say, here is an agreement that we came up with at this mediation. Tell me if I should sign it. At that juncture, I cannot advise a client, and I don't think any attorney could, to sign blindly without the proper disclosure of assets and financial information to ascertain whether or not this is a fair agreement, or if that agreement really does encompass all of what could be considered the marital estate in that particular case. And we see this issue arise really on both sides. On the one side, with the non-moneyed spouse, and I'll keep that gender neutral as it's really becoming that way now.
Right.
The non-moneyed spouse is convinced to pursue the settlement with little to no financial disclosure at the behest of their soon-to-be ex-spouse. What happens is that later on, after the divorce is finalized, some issues will come up. And if it appears that there wasn't proper disclosure, the entire agreement could be completely set aside and the case could be completely reopened from scratch. And at that point, with that kind of mistrust at that juncture, the likelihood of that case then settling becomes slim to none. We had this example come up in a case where a client agreed to accept certain real estate properties as a payment towards what she believed she was owed for equitable distribution of the marital assets. Had she done some investigating and required the type of disclosure and financial disclosure and discovery that an attorney would have required, she would have known, and as we advised her, that those properties were encumbered by hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of IRS tax liens and other creditor judgments and liens. So what she thought she was getting out of the bargain was nowhere near what she really was getting, as the value was a fraction of the amount.
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is family law attorney Rawan Hmoud, all the way from Roseland, New Jersey. And her topic for today is the importance of discovery and financial disclosure. Now, with that in mind, and for those people who are tuning in right now, Rawan, and wanting to know more, please share one common, and I'm sure there are so many pitfalls that you could share with us, but just please share one common but unknown pitfall that they need to be aware of, regardless of what situation they find themselves in.
One of the pitfalls, in addition to what we just spoke about in setting aside an agreement due to the failure to disclose certain assets or accounts or liabilities, is many business owners that go into a divorce believe that the less information that they provide, the better the outcome will be. However, as intuitive or counterintuitive as that may be, that really does have a huge backlash and creates unnecessary and avoidable litigation costs as suspicions will arise when perhaps the only underlying fear is the disclosure of the inner workings of a business or some other aspect that's not really related to the divorce. That pitfall, I think, many business owners don't realize at the outset of the case, and sometimes fight against the more basic discovery and disclosure when it comes to their business income and assets.
In just sitting back and listening to you share these great insights, Rawan, I have a feeling that we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of the iceberg of the amount of information that you could share with us. However, we are limited by time, but at this point of our conversation, you've kind of got me curious. Without going into your background and your formal education, can you just share how many years have you been a practicing family attorney?
I have exclusively practiced matrimonial law for 10 years.
So in those 10 years, in which I can only imagine you've possibly helped hundreds of people, in those 10 years, when you think about all of the cases, all those people who you've helped to make a transition in their life or a transformation in their life, better said, what's most important to you personally about being able to help those clients to achieve their desired outcomes?
I think the most important aspect is to really get to know the client, right? Each family and each client have their own unique dynamic. I don't think that two cases are ever alike, and I believe that is really one of the driving factors behind why I entered into the matrimonial arena. That is that the law is left without too many bright line rules to take into account and remain flexible for an equitable outcome for the family. And once you get to know the client, the way the family ran, the historical roles that each spouse played, and understand where they see themselves in the next 5 years, 10 years, you could really help assist them in figuring out which path to take. Many a times, those paths are really laid out in what seems to be kind of a cold description, in that it's a cost-benefit analysis. I like to say that every client deserves to have a cost-benefit analysis at every step of the way to understand what this is going to do for them and whether or not it will further their ultimate goal. However, the cost analysis in matrimonial cases is not cold. It involves more than just hard dollars and cents, because a lot of issues that are not financially based could still be financially driven, and or they could not be assigned a dollar value.
If you imagine, any of the clients that you've helped them, Rawan, who came to you and they're looking at their options for divorce. Obviously, they're not in the best place at that time in their lives, and you've been able to perform a cost-benefit analysis and then eventually to help them to have a equitable outcome, as you said in your own words. When you think about that and the transformation that you've been able to create in moving a client from point A to point B, their desired outcomes, what do you personally get from that? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel that I am using my law degree and my ability to litigate and negotiate on behalf of my clients to do something that really has an impact on the everyday life of a human being. I believe that matrimonial law and having to go through something like a divorce is probably one of the most major events that a person goes through. and the consequences of not having someone who has your back, so to speak, in the litigation arena could have a huge long-term negative impact on not only the client but their family. And so the gratification I get out of this is being able to assist people through some of the worst period of time for them and help them reach that stable point again in their life so they can go back to focus on their business. They can go back to focus on their professional goals and aspirations, education, and their children, most importantly.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us, Rawan. Could you just briefly spend a moment telling us a little bit about your background and your formal education and your experience as it relates to the topic of family law?
Well, Stewart, I went to undergrad here in New Jersey at Rutgers, which I would venture to say 2/3 of the state of New Jersey has attended. And I went straight through college into law school and attended Seton Hall Law School. During law school, I took many courses focused on matrimonial and family law, as well as being part of the family law clinic at Seton Hall Law School, which helped people who could not afford legal representation in the family law court system. From there, I went straight to working for Judge Convery, who was the lead dissolution judge in Essex County, which is one of the highest volume counties in the state of New Jersey, who was also responsible for shaping the law in New Jersey on business valuations in a matrimonial case and handled a lot of heavy hitter cases. So the experience was just priceless. During my time with the judge, I was recruited by the firm that I'm with now, and after being here for about 6 years as an associate, I was named partner and continue to be a partner here, dedicated exclusively to matrimonial law.
So, Rawan, when you think about the kinds of people who you've helped in the past and those people who will come to you for your help in the future, and they'll be wanting to know more about the importance of discovery and financial disclosure, what would be your final thoughts that you'd like to share with them before we finish up with our last question for today?
I would say that many people should know that discovery and financial disclosure is just part of the education process that every person going through a divorce or a separation from a long-term relationship should engage in before signing any kind of agreement or before deciding whether or not to litigate a case through trial. Every person is different and every client has a different goal in mind. I understand that needs to be the focus for each client in figuring out how to best tailor the discovery and disclosure requests to keep them as cost-effective as possible while providing the highest level of education to be able to make an informed decision in your own case. Getting the disclosure and the discovery and the financial disclosure done properly will help solve that case with less litigation. Anytime clients or litigants in a divorce matter have to rely on a judge to make the ultimate decision, the likelihood of post-judgment applications stemming from that decision or appellate review are extremely high. Take matters into your own hands. Be able to make the decision that best fits your family and your ultimate goals. And in order to do that effectively, be as informed as possible.
Fantastic. So as you said, each client, each situation is different. But for that person who is listening in right now, Rawan, and they feel this all sounds great, but I need to know more. I need to know more about this topic of the importance of discovery and financial disclosure. And I actually need some help with some other things. If that's the case, then Rawan, what would be the easiest way for them to connect with you?
Well, we have 3 offices in the state of New Jersey, all available for anyone to drop by if they would like to. We're centrally located in Roseland, New Jersey. We have an office in Hackensack, New Jersey, and an office in Bridgewater, New Jersey, to address all of the entire state of New Jersey. The easiest way to reach me would be my email address, which you can get through our website at SnyderSarno.com, SNYDERSARNO.com, which will connect you directly to me through my profile.
Okay, I'm just going to make it a little bit easier for that listener right now, because they may go to your website and might not actually know where to find that email address. So why don't you just spell it out for them right now so they can just take a note and just send you that email right away?
Sure. It's RHM as in Mary, OUD as in David, at Snyder, SNYDER, Sarno, SARNO.com.
Perfect. Oh my goodness, Rawan, the time has just flown by, and I really just feel like I could sit here and talk with you for hours and hours of the topic of matrimonial law, family law. I know we've only begun to scrape the tip of the iceberg. However, that's all we have time for today. So as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to family law attorney Rawan Hmoud. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Rawan. You have certainly demonstrated that you are a true educator, advocate, and trustworthy advisor for your client's success. And I would even say you're a very lovely lady too. So thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Rawan.
Thank you so much, Stewart, for having me.
You are so welcome, my dear. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, the listener. Thank you for joining us on what I can only describe as a very insightful and informative discussion with one of the leading family law attorneys in the Roseland, New Jersey area today. Again, her name is Rawan Hmoud. Make sure you do check her out. Send her an email. Visit her website. There's lots of great resources on there. Whatever you do decide to do, whatever course of action you take, I am sure after listening to Rawan today that you're certainly going to be in a great place to get started. So that's it for today, folks. Again, my name is Stewart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading family law professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.